Well, good morning and welcome to the Proposal Development Workshop Series. This is number 10 in the series, all about supplementary documentation, proposal management, details that you should be paying attention to, data management plan and sharing plan. We are joined by guests Catherine Claypool and Matthew Harp from across ASU to share their expertise on this topic. This is number 10 in the series. So if you've missed 1 through 9, we do have those recorded and can send those to you. They're also available on funding.asu.edu. And this one is also going to be recorded, and we will send that as a follow-up email to all those who registered, as well as the slides and any supplementary documentation that is relevant for today. So I'll pass it straight over to Catherine to get us started. I'm sure she can give us a better introduction of herself, and Matthew too, and we'll have them share with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Haley. Yeah, it's great to be here. I know Matt and I presented last year around the same time on the similar topic, but happy to be here again. So my name is Catherine Claypool. I am an epidemiologist and a health research data manager with the Research Technology Office here. And Matt Harp is a research data initiatives librarian with the ASU Library in the Open Science and Scholarly Communication Division. And Matt, if you want to say hi, I don't know if you want to.
Good morning, everybody. Hi. Yeah, I'm an associate librarian at ASU Library, and we're here to talk to you about our research data management and sharing plans as supplementary documents.
Great. All right. Well, I'm going to just go ahead and get started then. Let's see here. These are the learning objectives and the agenda that we've got for today. We're going to go through several items about data management and sharing, data management planning, data management, and data publishing. And we'll have time hopefully for questions at the end. So just to kick it off, there was a memo by the NIH in 2023 that really kind of kicked a lot of information and policy off about data management and sharing. And this policy came out 2 years ago now. So there's been a lot around that. And the essence of this memo was basically that for all NIH funded research, there was the requirement of having and providing a data management and sharing plan along with your proposal. And this plan, we'll go into the details of what this plan has in it, but just for this particular slide, just wanted to mention that this has been going on for a couple of years now. And there is a LibGuides link at the bottom. So as you'll get the slides, you can hit that LibGuide. That's more information that the library published on this policy and the impact of it. Since then, there's been a couple other things that have come out. One of which was most recent, was there was another policy that came out regarding sharing genomic data. And that was for both human and non-human genomics. So let's see here. Sorry, let me go back real quick. So it was about sharing genomics data as well. So there is now another policy on how to basically create privacy and the proper way to share the genomics data and different repositories for that. So this is a great idea to have a data management and sharing plan, but it's also backed up by federal policy. And now most federal agencies have followed suit with NIH and have similar policies as well. So these are some of the things that are in your data management planning. We'll get into actually what the plan is and how that's a little bit different, but planning for data management across your research from start to finish includes things like knowing your deadlines, planning ahead, making sure your data collection plans and organization are set and you have a way to organize yourself from the start. There's budgetary considerations. So both the NIH, NIH as well as some other federal agencies allow you to have a line item in your budget for data management as well as a data manager. As we get further along in the presentation and we start talking about data publishing, there's a lot of work that can go along with the curation of your data and your code and other documents to Make sure that you're in compliance with the sharing policies. So that does take a lot of time. So we do recommend, if you can, and you do have the, you can plan ahead in your proposal to put those types of things in your budget. It really helps in the long run. Data management planning obviously includes secure storage and data collection and analysis, and that just depends on what type of data you're working with. It also includes sharing with collaborators during your research and how you're going to do that type of sharing. And then preparing your data sets for reproducibility and transparency after or along with your publication, and possibly the use of an electronic lab notebook for day-to-day data management, as well as how you're going to be getting data potentially off of instrumentation and those types of things. We like to think of this as just sort of, you can have any kind of data management planning activities from start to finish, and you really should in your research have some sort of idea about how that's going to go. And one of the reasons why is because most research can take years, right? Some of these grants that folks get can be 2, 3, 5 years long. And if you can set yourself up for success in the beginning by keeping yourself organized, then by the time the end of the research happens and you're getting ready to do your publication and your manuscript, you are really clear about where your data are and what stage they're in and all of that. So data should be fair. So I'm not sure how many people might be familiar with the FAIR principles. They are kind of widely talked about across data management organizations. But FAIR stands for findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And those principles are really about the data publication process, but they can also be around the sharing of data through your research team as well. So it should be findable, right? There should be, you can have persistent identifiers with items that are fairly complete, but you should always have metadata that's self-explanatory. For indexed in repositories, you need to have specific terms possibly, and you can have persistent identifiers for your metadata. As far as being accessible, there should be a way to actually get to your shareable published data, whether that's an authentication or if it's open, if there's the standards communication protocol, maybe you have people have to request it from your research team. Interoperable is really just about having the proper vocabularies around it, or whether or not you are in a specific discipline that requires that, as well as having your metadata make sense with your data sets and having it be reusable. Really, this is what it's all about. Data management and sharing or data publishing is all about the reusability, the accessibility, the reproducibility, and the transparency around what you've done. So having your metadata have multiple attributes. The usage license is something that's really important, and there's a lot of information on the ASU library about the different types of licenses that you can save your data under in repositories, and maybe having community standards. So if for instance, you're sharing and making available your code that you use to analyze your data or to do your research, there should be a clear process if you want people to be able to add, or if you want to do versioning around your code, that type of thing. So why does a good data management and sharing plan matter? Well, first and foremost, because of the policy, you potentially risk losing funding in the future from that same agency if you don't provide one. Your proposal submission itself could be delayed. Your funder may or may not follow up on your plan to find out how your, mostly if the funder is going to follow up with you, it's going to be regarding your publishing practices or where you've published the data. It is the right thing to do for sure, but it also helps you out in the future. Once you have a good plan, especially if you're doing research in the same discipline over and over again, you can reuse that plan. That plan becomes dynamic, and it also is a great roadmap for you to make sure that things are done in the right way. it is about demonstrating that accountability and transparency. And it really can help others. And Matt is going to talk a little bit about how to publish a data management and sharing plan later on. But publishing them helps others and also helps you, because there are a lot of data management and sharing plans already published out there that are open to the public, and you can review them or look at them. And we can, Matt will show you in the tool where to find those. But that's really an important factor as well, is that none of this really is something that you'd have to start from scratch with. There's always other plans out there. And also it just makes your data and research outputs more citable by others. So, you know, in the past, it was all about that manuscript or that publication was the only thing you could really be cited on, but that's not true anymore. So not only can you be cited for your data management and sharing plan, but other outputs as well. So once you get those persistent identifiers associated with them, or those DOIs, things like your code can be cited, your metadata, the other aspects of it. And when I think about the sharing part of this, or the publication part of this, it's really about your methods. So with a manuscript or a publication, you only have so many words usually in a publication. And your methods could be really robust, you know, especially if you're doing machine learning or you're doing AI or anything around research that has a lot of methods or a lot of steps around it. So when you think about this package that you'll be putting together to publish your data, it's really a more robust, and it's like a methods package is what I like to think of it as. And that package can be cited. So here's a general workflow and steps to a great data management and sharing plan. We put a little legend on here and color coded it so that you could kind of see where everyone fits into the workflow. Most of it is going to be on the PI. So once you're writing the plan, you're using the tool. In the tool, you can request feedback from us, being the Research Technology Office or Research Data Management Office, as well as the library. Then in bright blue, you'll see that we'll review the plan and provide suggestions. And then you'll have to, as a PI, you'll have to update the plan based on the feedback. But you can also download your plan from the DMP tool and send that to your proposal team. Excuse me. And then the proposal is submitted to the funder by the research administration. And then the funder will either request additional information, or they will reward or award you, yay, hopefully. And then after you get your proposal awarded, you can publish your plan and get that DMSP DOI that I was speaking of, that Matt will show you about. And then from there, you manage and share your data and update your plan as necessary. So like I said, it's definitely a dynamic document and can change. And you can also put a lot of things in this plan as far as the roles. If you have a large research team, each person can be identified as a role in that plan. So now I'm going to turn it over to Matt so he can talk a little bit about the DMP tool.
All right, just wanted to make sure my mic is on, and I'm posting this in chat. It's the direct link to what we're talking about here. You don't have to log in or do anything with it. Just have that for the future. I know it's a simple URL, but nevertheless, there it is. So this is the landing page for the DMP tool, which is our primary recommended resource for writing a data management plan for your proposal. It is available at this website, and we at ASU do not require you to use the DMP tool, but we do highly recommend using it. And it is actually becoming a part of our overall data management support workflow system. What it's really good at is providing some general boilerplate text or guidance. Really, it's the guidance based on different funding agency requirements. And it'll also help you request feedback, as Catherine said, from the data management office, from the library, before you even submit your proposal to the funder. So we'll go into some details on that. Catherine, go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is sort of like an example of those funder requirements. It's linked to at least, no, actually it's more than 40 different funder templates at this point. This is just a demonstration of some of those different directorates and the funders that you're going to work with. When you select a sponsor, when you're creating your plan, it will organize those sections. If you recall the FAIR principles, but also some other elements that we're going to talk about, what a data management plan actually looks like. It takes those sections, organizes them based on the needs of the specific funder that you're working with. And it's up to date. There's literally an editorial team behind the DMP tool that keeps all of this information current. And one disclaimer is that the tool's not going to write your plan for you. It just provides a framework for writing it as you're creating it. It has guidance for most of the big agencies, but there may be some iterations that are not there, but most of them are in the tool itself. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Another built-in resource, and this doesn't require you to log in, are public plans from real-world projects that are available by clicking on the public plans link at the top of the page. See it up there where it says public plans. This feature includes plans that have been reviewed by the DMP tool editorial boards or specific institutions like ASU that have been declared these are featured plans. So in other words, they're good examples of one that might be respective to project you're working on. And you'll notice it because it says featured plans on there. So that's a great way to look and just get ideas from how other people have actually done their data management plans. And for the most part, we assume these have been sponsored. So when go ahead and go to the next slide, Catherine. Now, when you're ready to log in and you're going to start creating a plan, the first thing you're going to need to do is log in. So you click the login button, you start putting in your email address. Once it sees that you're from ASU, you'll do the single sign-on through ASU. And it's an easy way to log into the DMP tool. You use it for just about everything else you do, so that makes sense to you. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And apologies, this is kind of like very rote, like I'm walking through the tool with you, going through it. So when you're ready, you're going to click Create Plan. You'll notice at the top of this board from wherever you're at, there's a Create Plan link right there. So you'll start on the My Dashboard page. You're going to create a plan. You're going to type in the name of your project in the What Research Project Are You Planning field. If you are applying for funding, insert the project title exactly as it is in your proposal. ASU will already be selected as your primary research institution because you use single sign-on to log in. You're going to use then the primary funding organization drop down to select a template. And some funders like NSF or NIH, for example, will have multiple templates to choose from. So create plan to save your data management stub record. So this is just the initial getting started. The next time you come back after you're creating the plan, you're going to select it from your My Dashboard. So once you've started, you're now going to have a dashboard of the plans that you work on, and you can have multiple plans. At this point, you're going to add the further details about your project, your collaborators, and you'll be working on that as you work throughout. If you just want to learn how to use the DMP tool, one tip I have for you is select the mock project, that little box on the right there that says mock project. That just basically tells the DMP tool this isn't real. You're not going to be requesting feedback for it. And it's going to also tell the administration team behind here at ASU, this is just a learning opportunity for you. This is not a real request that's going. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, so again, before we jump into all the details of those plans, these are the basic elements, regardless of funder, regardless of template. You're going to have your data types. This includes your basic description, maybe a list or a table that describes the data sets that will be created or used as part of the study. You then will identify your related tools, software, or code that are necessary to access or manipulate the shared data. You're then going to list standards used for your sharing the data, the metadata, indicate whether or not there are any data standards that you're in your field that are going to be applicable to your project. Also, going to indicate your preservation, access, and associated timelines, which are details and timelines for sharing and preserving the data for the long-term usability of it. And again, others and yourself. This is where you might name the repository you will be archiving and publishing your data. And if you will include any metadata standards, persistent identifiers, and timelines for publishing your data. You're then going to explain your access, distribution, or reuse considerations that provide maximum sharing while respecting any restrictions. This can include access controls, intellectual property concerns, rather than sharing not all of it. In other words, there is no expectation that you're going to share everything that you produce in your project. They do get that some things need to be kept restricted. You're just going to explain what is going to be restricted and why and how you're going to do that. So that also dovetails into the oversight of your data management and sharing plan, which is where you're going to list who is responsible for compliance with your plan. This is particularly important for those projects that are funded by the NIH directorates, like the NIDDK, where they will actually ask you, who is your institutional official that will be responsible for the oversight of your plan? All data management and sharing plans contain these 6 elements. Some will break down a bit more than others. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So now we're back in the DMP tool. So each section represents those different components that I just talked about. The system organizes them, again, based on the funder that you've indicated. So in this example, we're looking, and this is just a test example that I put together based on the NIH plan that came out. You'll see data types, the tools and software, standards, preservation, access, and oversight. Those are all there. Let's go ahead and jump to the next slide. Now, within those sections, you're going to click on the plus field. It then drops down. So you're now, on this particular example, you're looking at data type. So this is where you want to consult the guidance tab, which is over on the right. And ASU also has a tab as well, which may have additional information for that related portion of plan that directly relates to ASU. You can directly edit in each section or copy and paste information that you might have in another document. Again, the main feature here is that guidance tab. There's even guidance that the DMP tool editorial board also provides, in addition to the institution and the funder information that is in there. Notes and feedback, that's where you're going to see any kind of feedback or comments that your team is working on with this plan, because one of the great things about the DMP tool is you can have multiple people working in this if you assign them to it. And so you can actually have a communication thread within the plan itself as you're working on it. Again, none of this gets shared to the public. This is just sort of like your internal dashboard for working on your plan. Let's go ahead and jump to the next slide. So we've mentioned several times requesting feedback. So as we moved across, you'll note that there are tabs, the blue tabs at the top. Right now I'm in requesting feedback. So let's say you get to a point, you've pretty much worked on the majority of your plan. Now you're ready to get feedback. You want to make sure that what you're doing is going to make sense to those that are going to be reviewing your plan. So you request feedback from this tab. Once you do it, a message is sent to the data management office. And they will also include the ASU library as necessary, particularly in the areas of preservation, support, publishing. They'll include us. And what we can do, again, is we're going to go back and provide feedback for you right in the DMP tool itself. So I'm going to then hand it off to Catherine really quick, who's going to talk about a couple of things, and then I'll be back.
Thank you, Matt. So the feedback, what you can expect when you request the feedback, we usually typically between the 2 groups as we're reviewing these plans will take about 3 business days. So plan ahead as much as possible. Oftentimes you won't find out about the requirement of a data management and sharing plan until kind of late in the process potentially. So you're definitely not going to want to wait on this feedback if your proposal deadline is approaching. So just keep that in mind. What we do is review what you've written and provide suggestions. So sometimes some of those sections seem a little bit they're not mutually exclusive. They seem to overlap a little bit here and there. So it's easy to, excuse me, it's easy to accidentally write the whole plan in the first section when you're talking about your data types. So just looking at each section, there is some kind of example language that's available as you start to write the plan. And we definitely encourage you to not copy and paste that in. That does happen sometimes, but it's not always appropriate language for every study. So just look at how they wrote it. It doesn't, again, remember keeping in mind, this is a 2-page max document. They're not looking for a lot of information. They just want the information in a nice short format, and it could be bulleted as well. So we'll review the plan and provide suggestions, and that'll show up in that comments tab that Matt was pointing out. And then funders may give you an opportunity to revise your plan. That's definitely possible. But our feedback is definitely guidance. It's not approval or necessary for submission, so don't wait on the feedback. And like I said, it's a dynamic document and it should be kind of kept up to date as the research progresses. So also just wanted to kind of go over the difference between data sharing versus data publishing. Data sharing, the word sharing is used quite often and it can mean several different things. So at ASU, we like to call what happens at the end of the research with your package data publishing. It just makes it a little bit more easy to understand what is expected. There's the policy, obviously. The federal funding agencies are going to be requiring data publication, or what they're calling sharing, along with a manuscript publication. And there is, as Matt showed you, there's a section for how and where the study will be shared, or where the data are going to be published. And those publishing locations are repositories, and Matt mentioned the repositories, but there are definitely a lot of public repositories out there that are open for where you can publish your data. There are institutional repositories like the one we have here at ASU. There's discipline-specific repositories. TDAR is one example that's used for archaeological data, but if you're in the discipline of genomics or you're in the discipline of some other area, then there's probably a discipline-specific repository that most people in your field lean towards. So you'd want to check that out. And then there's just overall general repositories like the Open Science Framework, which all different kinds of data are published there. There can be storage limits and costs to evaluate. A lot of these too may or may not be administered, or there may not be somebody who's curating or looking over data sets as they're being published into these repositories. So you definitely want to take a look at that. And there are definitely limits for restricted data sets. And this is really important because if you're, there's a lot of studies that are going on at ASU that have both audio and visual data collection. So it'd be interviews, it could be Zoom interviews, it could be audio only. It's not expected that you would publish all of those files. That would be way too much. What we recommend in situations where a large amount of data is being published or is being generated as part of the research, that you publish only what's necessary for people to understand your methods, right? So for instance, if you did Zoom video interviews with people as part of your research, it would not be expected because of privacy considerations that you would ever publish one of those videos unless you got permission specifically from somebody to do that. But what you could do is share a redacted transcript, for an example, and how you use the transcript to analyze data or code the data in order to get to your research question. So that's just really important when you're talking about storage limits and costs as well. And I'll hand it back to Matt.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm going to pop a link in here. So what you're looking at on your screen right now are an example of two different data management plans. We talk a lot about them, but what do they actually look like? And my answer to that is, it depends. So the one on the left is based on an NSF Polar Programs template. Now, it has a more prose approach, while the plan on the right is from an NSF career grant proposal that is more bullet point oriented. So again, the link that I pasted in chat is the first one on the left. Now I'll go ahead and paste the other one too, just so you can compare later on and just see that they're different. And the link I'm going to share is actually going to send you to that public plans landing page. And then what you're going to want to do is look up on the right and you'll see where it shows a PDF link, and you click that and you download it, you get the plan. So if you publish your plan, that's how others would be able to access your data management plan. But again, the point is that your mileage varies. And I really want to reiterate what Catherine said earlier, which is these are simple. Average data management plan, and by most funder requirements, 2 pages. That's it. It's basic information on how you're going to be accountable for what you're going to do. And yet you want to make it accurate. It's simple, but specific. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. Okay, so how did those folks make their plan visible? We highly recommend doing this. Basically, you publish it, you get what's known as a DMP ID when your plan is complete. It's a DOI for your data management plans. And these plans can be updated. So having this DOI, having this page for you, it also allows you to go in and make changes to your data management plan as time goes on. So again, this helps further open science. It helps show that you're being transparent by demonstrating the changes and evolution of your project over time. Published plans are another point of citation for you and your team, and it helps support the units working with you to steward and preserve your data for future use. And they can be linked to other institutional outputs like your papers and presentations, and they may be recommended by your funding agency as time goes on. There's a concept called machine actionable data management plans. It's something that ASU is very interested in. And again, it's sort of the, how can these plans actually be connected to other discovery systems and other research management systems to sort of create that framework of the actual research process itself and the complexity of individual projects, how they go, right? Let's go ahead and jump to the next one. I think you got this one, Catherine.
Yeah, I can take care of this one. So we tried to boil down, there's quite a bit of information in this presentation, and we're always open for questions, not only here, but also after the presentation. You can reach out to us at any time and our organizations. But the take-home message is, and we've said it multiple times, your DMSP is simple. They are 1 to 2 pages max. Using the tool is going to give you that opportunity to get feedback directly from us in the tool, but also allows you multiple resources within the tool to build a plan if you've never built one, or access plans of people who have already gone that direction, especially in your own discipline or from the same funding agencies. And the links here, I'm assuming, Haley, you're going to be able to distribute the slides to everybody, but these are all links for other resources that we have. There's the tool itself, there's the writing, data management, and sharing plan examples, the ASU Libraries Research Data Management and Sharing Guide that they've published, and also the tutorial that I believe Matt actually did on using the DMP tool, which is a video that's available on the ASU Library webpage. And so I just have a couple of slides here. I'm not going to go through this, excuse me, in detail, but these are all the services that are available through the Research Technology Office. I did put the website there, and all the services are listed. And here are some additional ones, but if you have any questions, there's direct links on that website, and we can be found through ServiceNow.
And I just want to point out some of the services and resources that are available to you from the ASU library. I know folks think a lot about our books and our resources and the things that we subscribe to make available to you, but it's also a lot of folks behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, actually, at the library that are there to help you with. For example, we have a researcher support community of practice. It's a whole group of folks throughout the library that work together to help you be successful in your research. We are at lib.asu.edu/research. There is also the data science and analytics unit that are really there that are helping folks get onboarded with new resources, techniques, and tools that are available to them for their data analysis and visualization. They have real world workshops and real world projects that they even have students get involved on. And that is an active and growing unit here in the library. We also have folks that can help you with your research impact, such as learning how to use experts at ASU, tips and tricks on using Google Scholar, and even Scopus, which, as you know, we have Scopus. We do not have Web of Science, but that's another way of gauging what research is being produced abroad in your field, or maybe at ASU, looking at meeting collaborators, et cetera. Go ahead and jump to the next slide, Catherine. And then there's other things that we can help you with. Tips on where to publish. We have a guide on Think, Check, Submit, which is basically before you submit to a journal, in your research as an output, make sure that you're evaluating that journal to make sure that it is the best fit for you and that you're not actually being taken advantage of or would put you in a situation that may not look too kindly on you or that could take away your rights as an author. That's one of the things we provide. We provide guidance on that. As we've mentioned earlier, we have institutional repositories. There is the Keep Institutional Repository, which is the traditional repository for scholarship, such as your articles and presentations, some videos, etc. The data, the research data, depending on whatever type of data that is, would go into the data repository at dataverse.asu.edu. That's where I work, and my colleague Rachel Fernandez, I believe she's on the call. She also is one of our data curators. We also provide support and sort of navigating what open access options are available to you and what it means. There is a guide that we have on our open access policy at ASU, as well as, again, just general concepts of what is open access and what does it mean for you as a researcher or the person who supports that research. And I also want to highlight that coming up is a webinar on overcoming messy spreadsheets with the ASU library. This will be led by Assistant Librarian Carolyn Osler. It's on February 14th at 11 a.m. This is a part of Love Data Week. This is how ASU is participating in the International Love Data Week event that's this year. Again, for February 14th, 11 a.m. We'd love to see you there. I will put a link in the chat in just a minute on that. And again, if you ever have any questions, any of the things that we've talked about, you can also just go to Ask a Librarian. Anything's there. You don't have to know who to talk to. If you just go to that link, askalibrarian.asu.edu, we will get you to the right folks and make things happen. And of course, there's researcher support is right there too. You can reach out directly to us at any time. And I think that's all I've got. Catherine, is there anything else?
No, I think that was our last slide. Let's see, stop sharing here and we can
Well,
ask
thank
and
you
answer any
very,
questions.
very much, Catherine and Matt. We really appreciate all these detailed informations. I love the tool, the DMP tool. It's very unique and helpful. I did capture all these links in the chat. I hope everyone also looked at those here on the call. I captured them and I'll send them out to all those who registered. So we have those available. Again, thank you for your time. Are there any questions for Catherine and Matt? Be happy to take live questions. Just unmute yourself and ask, or put it in the chat and I'll read it for you. And that's okay if we don't have any live questions. We will gladly take them via email as well. Catherine and Matt are available at their regular EASU email addresses, or feel free to contact my office, researchdevelopment@asu.edu, and we'll get those in the right direction. Again, thanks, and I'm glad to see you all. Happy Tuesday to you. Oh, do we have a question? Someone? Nope, just joining online. Hi, nice to see you.
I will say we've taken the TOPS. That's a great shout out to the TOPS program. If you want to do it, do it. Got my certification around here somewhere.
Me too, me too. I got my sticker on my refrigerator.
Yeah, it's great.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.